Okay, Chef Celeste, I think we're live.
Hey everyone, I am Chef Celeste, and I'm actually at home in my kitchen, and I'm about to make some lunch for myself. So you're going to come along with me. Let me tell you what I got going on so far. I'm going to do a variation, and I'll recap on this too. I'm going to do a variation of my shrimp sauce. So I have my shrimp out. It's in a little bit of water that I let it thaw in there. That's going to be the stock that I'm actually going to use. I cooked some tricolor rotini pasta because I love pasta. And just putting some simple things in there. My tomatoes, my bell peppers, got some olive oil, and of course I'm going to be using my seasoning. So my style of cooking, I like for it to be extremely simple. That way, from beginners on up to our seasoned folks, you can join in the kitchen, make a great dish. And I'm gonna give you one tip. If you cannot cook, when you if you're inviting guests over and you're trying something out for the first time, I would say get you some garlic, rub it with a little bit of olive oil, wrap it in some foil, pop that in the oven, and get that house smelling really, really good. So that's one of my little cheat codes right there. You just want when the guests come in, you want it nice and just smelling really good. Like realtor, sometimes they'll bake cookies. So when you go in and look at a house, you smell that nice fresh cookie dough smell. So same principle here. So we eat with our eyes, and our sense of smell, all the senses come into play. So um, I'm going to kill a little bit more time here to let some people come on in, tell your friends to join on in here and everything. So while we're waiting on folks, this is some things I want you to think about for questions and answers at the end. What are some of your favorite things to eat? What are some of your favorite things to cook? What are some of your challenges in the kitchen? And I like to do a lot of farm to table cooking. Do you do farm to table cooking? And what is one of your favorite items that you may pick up from the farmers market, whether it's local farmers market, like the Red Stick Farmers Market, or a produce stand or something like that. So think about some things like that. So what I'm going to do first, I'm going to run through my ingredients one more time. I have some olive oil. I have black pepper. I have my cracked black pepper seasoning. Let me move this over a bit. I have my Creole garlic. This is the flagship of the seasonings. Then I have some cherry tomatoes. I like tomatoes. Then I have bell peppers. I have orange, red, and yellow. I'm not going to use any green because I don't have any green. I use them all. So that's the beauty about when you're cooking at home for yourself. You just change things up to what you need at that time. So you don't have to stress about, I don't have this, I don't have that. So when you really learn how to cook, you'll know how to improvise when it's something that you don't have. And when you're shopping, what the thing that again that I love about Louisiana is that we grow so much. So eat in season. So why not do that? Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna do is add a little bit of oil to my pan. I put this actual cooking element into my island for just this reason here. When I'm doing cooking demos, I can go straight here. So I'm going to let some of this shrimp drain so that I don't have, it's not going in with all the water on there. So I'm going to put that on a plate real quick because what's going to happen if I put that in there? It's going to splash. So we're not going to do that. Okay, so I'm going to let that sit right here. And we're going to start with the bell peppers. I just cut off a nice piece of the bell pepper and I'm going to cut them into diced pieces. Let me show you how I'm doing that. This is how you hold a knife. Forefinger here, thumb right here. And just go. And I like uniform sizes because when you have a uniform size, that way everything cooks around the same time. Okay, so I have the first part of the bell pepper going in. My heat is down right now on 2. I'll turn it up in a minute. I had to double check and make sure I was working right here. I don't normally cook at this space right here, so I had to do a refresher course on how to use the induction stove because I like to cook with gas as well and outdoors. All right, so now let me crank it up a bit more. We're gonna go on 4. Okay, so now I'm gonna add the red. And this dish doesn't take long. The longest part of it is really just cooking the pasta. And you can cook the pasta right along with it. Or for those of you that like to cook in the oven, just pay attention to what I'm doing right here. And everything can be done in the oven, including the dry pasta. You just put it all in there at one time and just let it cook. So this is all in here. So now we're going to go in with our tomatoes. I like large tomato pieces, so I'm just going to cut them in half. So that's something that you need to keep in mind when you're preparing a dish. You want it to taste good. Okay, so that's a given. So we don't really have to repeat that as much. But you want to have fun in the kitchen as well. So whatever part makes it fun for you, that's what you do. If you like your tomatoes in half, do that. If you like them seeded, do that. If you want to carve them out and make them star shaped, do that as well. Just get in the kitchen and create something delicious. And this is a variation of my shrimp sauce that is actually in the cookbook. But I'm going to make my gluten-free lovers happy right now. I am not adding any flour in here except when I add the pasta. You don't have to put the pasta in there. You can use this for the grits. So you can take the recipes that are actually in the cookbook, change them up a little bit for what you need to do. So this same thing, another variation, you're going to keep it with the pasta, but chill it. Now you have a nice cold shrimp salad, or with this base that I'm doing right here, it can be just a nice pasta salad. Lately, that's been one of my popular dishes that people have been asking for is just my cold pasta salad. Has no meat in it or anything, just cold pasta. And it is delicious using these same ingredients minus the meat, okay, and just chilling it off and serving it up. Okay, I'm almost finished with the tomatoes. Can you tell I like a lot of tomatoes in there? All right, now look at that. So one thing that I want to talk to you all about in the cookbook, I have a lot of stories in there because I have been told that I am like an onion. And every time, even people that have known me for years, they're like, I find out something new all the time. And there's nothing wrong with that. So I tell you little tidbits and stories about life growing up in Detroit, coming here to Louisiana, and some of the other things. And some fun, just some fun stories about me and food and why I love to cook. So you'll get a chance to see why I love to do some of these things. I'm going in with my cracked black pepper. And what I'm doing right now is just letting this render a little bit because when I add the shrimp, it's not going to take a long time for the shrimp to actually cook. But I wish you could smell it. It's smelling so good in here. Now I'm going to add my Creole garlic. These are low sodium, and the name of it is actually senior seasonings because majority of my culinary career, I worked with senior citizens, whether it was in a nursing home or retirement center. Now I am the nutritional director over at the Council on Aging for East Baton, all of East Baton Rouge Parish. So if it comes to seniors, things like that, that's what I love to do. Speaking of love to do, I will be at the River Center Thursday, Friday, and Saturday for holidays. So this is my first time ever doing holidays. I'll be there with the cookbook. So if you have your cookbook already, then come down and let me autograph it for you. If you want to come down and purchase your book there, that's great. I will have some there. Or you can go onto our site, and I know they're going to have that up there too for LSU. You can get it from LSU Press. So wherever you get your book, just make sure you get it. And remember, the holidays are coming up, so you can get, some for you, some for your friends and family, things like that. So I want you to see inside of here right now. I'm going to tilt it just a little bit. It's starting to stick to the bottom. That is just the fond. Now, I could loosen that up with a little bit of wine if I wanted to. You could do that if you wanted to. but I'm gonna add just the shrimp stock to it. And this is actually making my mouth water right now. I don't know about you, but it's making my mouth water. So I am glad it's my lunch. So now, let me add this in, just a little bit. So right now, I'm gonna add about a quarter cup. And that's gonna help to soften up the tomatoes in here. So it's just bubbling up a little bit and just going. I just love watching food cook. One of my favorite things to cook is roux. And I have a roux recipe in there. But think about it, when you're making a roux, if you're really gonna do it right, and you're doing the one on the stove, tradition, you really need to stand there and get started. That's your time. You can just think, daydream, do whatever you want to do because you are minding the roux. So, and I love to watch the colors change. And we're right into this fall season where gumbo season is here now. So I have a great gumbo recipe in there that you'll love. You can make it seafood, chicken and sausage, whatever, but it all starts with a great roux. So not only a great roux, but a great base on anything that you're making. So you got to make sure the base is right. Know your basics. That way, if something doesn't go exactly the way you want it to, you can recover. So know your basics first. So that's a lot of the principles that's in my cookbook is teaching you the basics. So one of the things I'm really proud of is the king cake that's in there. I literally, because I'm not a baker, so I literally measured everything out the day before, made a king cake, and then made that king cake again so I could make sure that this recipe would work for you. And that is the king cake that you see on the cover and all of that. So these recipes have been tested and proven to work. And I know you're going to love them. So I'm excited to see what questions and answers you have, but I know you're excited to see what this dish is going to look like. I'm just turning the shrimp over a little bit. It's cooking down nicely. I'm not going to add my pasta yet because I need to make sure that the shrimp is cooked through because it's not going to take long once I add the pasta in there. So this is basically how this works. So we're going to let this go for a little bit. I'm just going to stand here real quick and run my mouth. And the reason I say that is because I want you to see how quick, how easy it is to follow these recipes. And when you get in the kitchen, don't be afraid to do it. A lot of times I tell people it's just food. So because it is just food, we want it delicious, we want it right, and you want to just enjoy it. Treat your guests to something that you prepared with your own hands. So I'll tell you a little story about one of my mentees, and I teach serve safe and I in culinary classes now. And she said, "Well, I don't think you taught me any of your, you didn't invite me to any of your classes." I said, "Well, wait a minute. Let's think about this here. I didn't invite you to a class that you had to pay for, but you reached out to me and said you wanted to learn the industry. So I brought you into my kitchen. You had to work for free until I saw your potential, and then I started to pay you. I taught you what I know. Then you went out and you opened a restaurant. Not only did you open a restaurant, now you have another kitchen around town and you have multiple contracts that you service these multiple contracts. Now you're about to open a place in the farmer's market. I think you got on the job training. So that is what I love to do. That's what I'm all about, sharing the knowledge and helping people get to the places that they need to be, where they need to be through food. Because food will change your life. It really will. Whether you're on a health journey and you need to change your diet up a little bit, and that's where these come in. You notice I didn't put any added salt in here. The shrimp is going to have some salt in it already. Your vegetables have small parts of small amounts of salt in it. So just go with that. And if you need to add more, then you can add some on the other side. But I like to be fairly low sodium when I'm cooking. I'm going to add about, this will be about 2 cups of dry pasta. I'm going to leave the rest of this here. And then I'll check out and see what I need to do. If I want to add more in there or not, if I want to save that for another time. You can add cheese to this dish. It is so versatile. But just look at the colors popping out. That's what I love about it. Now let me tell you what I was doing for holidays. I have, I will be there with the cookbook, of course. Then I made a batch of cinnamon hot honey. Now you may ask, what is cinnamon hot honey? Well, it is hot honey cinnamon ratio that I put together that you can add to your poultry dishes, seafood dishes, things like that. But imagine having that with a nice cup of hot tea. So these are the things that I like to do when I get in the kitchen. So what I want you to do, take that same idea when you're looking at my recipes and follow the recipe the first time and then maybe change it up a little bit because I want you to grow with me. So as you follow each recipe, you're going to add a different herb, different spice in there so that you can say, hey, I tried this dish. I made chicken salad, and guess what? Put curry powder. Or I made grilled shrimp and I put chili peppers in it. Just I want you to learn how to just try something new, engage yourself. And if you have any budding chefs in the house, encourage them to follow that profession. You know, when I was a kid growing up, I was the curious one. So we would go to the grocery store and, you know, I want to try out, you know, this, now you got to remember this is like 50 some odd years ago. So I'm like, you know, can I get a kiwi? Can I get this? You know, can I get a star fruit? Just trying out all these different things that I saw in the grocery store in Detroit. And we had a vibrant downtown farmers market. So I would go home and cook up all these different things with my parents. And I was a potato salad girl because they would cook the potatoes, I'd peel the potatoes. I think I was about 4 or 5 then. And as a teenager, I would bake cakes for folks, and I baked cakes for folks, did fruit platters, all of that type stuff. But in my mind, I wasn't going to be a chef. It's not what I'm doing with my life. So I did everything, still playing with food, but I'm not going to be a chef, not going to be a cook, none of that. So afterwards, I ended up, I was in Hawaii by then, and I was going to Leeward Community College, and I took a leisure baking class. And from that leisure baking class, I just, I couldn't do anything else with my life but dedicate it to food and just transforming people's lives through food. I just love to cook. I love to watch that initial reaction when people taste something and they love it. And they're, especially the ones that, oh, I don't like this. And then the next thing you know, can I have second? So that gives me instant gratification. And that's a lot of things with food. It gives you instant gratification. There's nothing like putting that beautiful dish together. Or for me, I just did a beautiful spread for about 200 guests. And when you stand there and you have to watch them tear that part down, it's like, you know, don't eat that yet. Let me get another photo. But I love to see the reactions, and especially with the children. When your children come and they like the food that you prepare, that is a special feeling. And they will like the food that you prepare with this dish. Now, I'm pretty much going to wrap this part of it up. And I just added a little more of the liquid so that I can let it cook down just a minute more. But this is done. So I don't know if any of you had a timer on, but everything was done right in front of you except for cooking the pasta. So how simple is that? So imagine if you don't want the pasta in here, then just make it like a nice shrimp dish. So let me show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to take these extra tomatoes out real quick. I'm going to put them in there because that'll be a pasta salad. So I'm just going to show you some little tips that I do and tricks. Okay, you don't want the pasta in here. We're not going to have the pasta in here. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to have my shrimp here. And let's say you have some greens and green salad. We'll have our tomatoes in there. And my glasses are getting foggy from the steam. Put this over here. Okay, so let's say I don't want pasta. Put a little bit more seasoning on here. Toss that up a bit. You can drizzle pastas in there. Throw that back over there. Drizzle a little bit of honey or something on there. In fact, I have some honey over here. Let's see. Where are you, honey? Watch this. Add you a little bit of basil to that if you like. You can put Thai chili peppers on there, whatever you want to put on here. But that's that. But that's not how we're going to do it. We're going to take this here and I'm going to add my pasta to it. Now, does pasta and honey go together? Of course. Tilt that a little bit so I can get some of that liquid. The only difference in the color here is the red. When I'm doing my shrimp sauce for my shrimp and grits, I add paprika to the mix. So this will be that. I'm going to take another glove and wipe this down real quick and do a cut on here so that I can I'm gonna cut some vegetables and do a garnish on here because you want to garnish the things that you do as well. Now this will be enough for me for a couple of days. But what you don't hear right now, and I am so happy, I'm not going to say his name right now, but I'll spell it. I have an English bulldog, MAN2. So if I say his name, he's gonna start barking. But he's right outside, and I know he smells all of this here. He has been so good, so I will feed him some of this as well. But some of the things that's coming up, I have the book fair coming up on November 1st. So I want you all to come out there. It's right downtown at the state library. And I have a demo and a talk that's coming up, and the times will be posted. So I look forward to seeing you there, as well as a lot of other authors that will be there to showcase what they're doing. Okay, that's one garnish, a dice. Let me show you another one. Let me move this out of the way. So we see what this is. We like it. I'm gonna like it. Put that right there. Put these out of your way. So let's do some strips. Small little strips. Because you want to garnish just about everything. So yeah, come out to the book fair. I have again holidays coming up. I will be at Southern University for their game on the 25th. All out there promoting the book. And I've been to the farmers market already, so we're going to set some dates coming up for some of the bookstores and things like that. But right now, I am having fun, enjoying the cookbook. It's been years coming. People have been asking me for years, when are you going to write a cookbook? But with the restaurants and things like that, that just wasn't a priority on my radar. So now I'm glad I did wait because with the help of LSU Press, this book is amazing. The photos, the quality, everything is just incredible. So I want to thank them as well. But take a look at this here. Now you could take and turn this into a little ribbon and do things like that. Look how I cut the bell pepper. You can take the bell pepper, and I'm giving you tips now, so take note of that. You can take the bell pepper and just take the seeds of it out, and you can blanch this off. You can chop the shrimp, put that on the inside with the stuffing, have a stuffed bell pepper. So those things, those are the type of things I like to do. I always save my seeds because one day I'm going to get really good at gardening. Don't know when, I'm working on it, but I'm going to get really good at gardening now that I have time to pay attention to what I'm doing. And I have some plants that I'm doing, but I love right now the markets are my friend because I can just go and get the ingredients that I need while I'm learning how to do this. So if you have some tips for me on how to get this going, feel free. Let me know. Okay. All right. What are we looking like on our timing on there? Let's see. Get this going. I'm gonna show y'all some other little tips and tricks too. All right. So I got that. So let me tell you a little bit about the products that I have. I have my honey mustard, which the honey, it comes from Bruley. So there's a special lot over there where they let the bees pollinate and it gives it a nice, unique flavor. So that's what I like about that. So I actually went on a tasting and that's how I chose the honey that I use for the honey mustard. So I have that. I have my Creole garlic, the steak seasoning. I have the cracked black pepper, and now the cinnamon hot honey. and I am marketing just the plain honey that they harvest for me for the honey mustard. So I'm going to start selling that as well because the flavor is so unique that you can just take that and just add it to anything, add it to tea. Just sometimes I have to mind what I'm doing, but I'll get a teaspoon of honey and just enjoy a teaspoon of honey because that flavor, it's not like the ones you buy in the store. You can, once you taste it, you're going to know this is local. This is local. So that's what I like about it. And if you have any ideas of where we should come and do a book signing, I'm doing some private book signings as well with some groups coming up in November. We're just going to sit, chat. They'll have their chapter meetings and have a nice meal and autograph some cookbooks, sell some cookbooks, and just talk about some of the items that are in the book. So those are some of the things that I'm doing. And I'm just looking at getting out, having fun, and showcasing some of the recipes that are in here. So I'm just going to go ahead and chop up some of the recipes and vegetables that are in here. Now, for those of you that are not as proficient with your knife handling, do you see what I'm doing right here? I am holding the knife the proper way. I know where my fingers are on my right hand because I am left-handed. And you just chop. You know where your fingers are at all times, okay? This is what we do. And I'm just lining things up because I just like to see the different colors on here. So let me take this off because I'm trying to chop that up now. I'll show you something. I'll bite my hands off. Okay, so this is the book. I'm gonna show you one of my favorite pictures in the book. Oh, wait a minute. We even have pralines in here. Gotta tell you a praline story. Maybe about 15 years ago, I had never made a praline before. But you know, I'm a chef. We can make anything, so we think. So I had a wedding and they asked if I could make pralines for, it was about 500 people. I'm like, yes, I can do that. Oh my goodness, I have never made a praline since until this cookbook because I'm going to leave that to the professionals for that amount because that was a lot of pralines to make along with, you know, cooking the food and all of that good stuff. Okay, I have crab cakes in here. We have, okay, that's chicken. That chicken pot pie. I love chicken pot pie. Okay, rib and grits are right here. And come here. We got a crab cake in there. Look at that crab cake. I actually did that one in Charlotte when Visit Baton Rouge took me and about 12 other chefs to Charlotte, and we took over restaurants in Charlotte. But look at that gumbo. Doesn't that look amazing? And yours will look just like that. You know, you get in there, get in the kitchen, play with your food, and just have a good time with it. Okay? Thank you.
So you ready for some questions, Chef Celeste?
I am ready for some questions. I hope I didn't talk too much.
No, you just made us all very, very hungry.
Well, in that case, here, have
Looks
some.
delicious.
Thank you. I'm ready.
Well, I'm sure you've never gotten this one before, but why don't you talk a little bit about the difference between Cajun and Creole?
Okay. Cajun and Creole, um, it's more in the use of tomatoes. The heat level I find is close. Most people, when they think of Cajun, they think hot with like cayenne pepper, things like that. And on the Creole side, most people think a lot of things are smothered down with the tomato base. Is that
Oh
clear
yeah,
enough for you?
that simplifies it.
Mm-hmm.
To steal a little bit from the subtitle there. Well, why don't you tell us a little bit about your journey? You said you were from Detroit. You'd spent some time in Hawaii.
Mm-hmm.
How you came to be in Louisiana, and how that influences your cooking.
Okay. As a child in Detroit, I love cooking shows, and we only had Julia Childs and Justin Wilson on LPB. So I would watch them all the time. My father actually joked with me. He's like, you know, all you do is watch TV because I was a kid. I love watch TV. you're going to do something in television. So, okay, here I am. But I used to love Justin Wilson. He was just my favorite. So when I left Detroit, I went to Alabama. I was in the National Guard. I went to Alabama. And from Alabama, I moved to Hawaii. And while I was in Hawaii, I was going to school for anything except cooking still. And then from Hawaii to Virginia. And when I went to Virginia on that base, I was working as a stalker overnight. And I saw this lady, and I'm looking at this lady, and I'm quite sure she had gotten it before because I didn't know she was from Louisiana. And she just came up to me and she's like, I'm what they call Creole. So that's how I got my lesson on Creole. And she gave me some of the history on the heritage and everything. And then as I went further, Miranda and I were walking out one day and I saw all of these beads hanging from the white beads hanging from her um, visor. I was like, you're really religious, huh? She's, she laughed. She's like, those are Mardi Gras beads. And so that's I got a history on Mardi Gras because Justin Wilson didn't tell me all of that. I was just fascinated about the food and the wine. So she gave me a crash course on all of that. And before I left Virginia for Louisiana, they gave me Justin Wilson's cookbooks and everything, and I was just thrilled. But when I got here, I could have never imagined how much I would fall in love with Louisiana. I knew I liked Louisiana, but I love Louisiana and the food and the cultures on the Cajun, the Creole, the whole mixture. And to me, with us being on the water, it ties into my cooking in Detroit and what I learned there because we would actually go over to Canada and do salmon fishing there too. So it was fresh fish. When we were in Hawaii, of course, we're surrounded by water. So that's still fresh seafood, fresh everything. And now you get to Louisiana with the water, the rich soil, everything that we have to offer. I like to tell people when I'm doing demos at the market, you can between any market around here, you can buy anything you need except your toiletries. You go to the grocery store for your toiletries, things like that, because we have such a rich, vibrant food culture here. I know I went on about that one, but can you tell I love Louisiana?
Oh, absolutely. And as a descendant or relative of Justin Wilson, I appreciate you and how
Oh,
much he brought to you in terms of bringing Louisiana to other parts of the country.
hmm
Uh, how about we got this question submitted twice, and I know
okay.
it might be difficult because I know they're like your babies, but what's your favorite dish, your favorite recipe in the book?
My favorite recipe in the book, roux would be one, and then the second one is kind of do three. The second one is the shrimp and then the ribs. Mhm. I had
And
someone call me the other day about the rib recipe, and this is another chef because I like mine when I pull it out the oven, I want it falling off the bone. Sometimes when I put it on the pit, I want it on the bone, that nice crunch like you would do if you're on a barbecue, if you're in a barbecue competition. But that's one of my favorite ones because you can take it from traditional to Thai to ribs are one of my favorite things to eat. So,
well, a lot of the dishes that you mentioned are expected. You said you had to create some because it's book on South Louisiana food. You have to have pralines or king cake.
mhm.
What is a recipe that's included in the book that someone might not expect?
A recipe that someone might not expect. I have a tapenade in there. So I have the tapenade in there. I have a charcuterie board in there, and things just moving into the holidays. I have a veal Normandy in there. So those are some things that are kind of outside the norm. So let's say you're a host or hostess that normally when people come in, they are used to the traditional fare that you put out because it's amazing. Try one of the different recipes in the book and add it to that mix. And then, just watch the nods of approval in there. So I just like to slide different things in there. And I think that's been the key to my success here in Louisiana with catering, restaurants, things like that, is because I don't come in and say I'm an authority on 100% original. This is my take on the food and the culture that is loved here in Louisiana, and it goes over very well.
Your passion comes through definitely. Your passion for the food and the passion for the people. Um, we also got a question about what is one dish or maybe one style of food that you haven't done that you would like to try?
Um, one style that I'd like to be more versed in is, well, I haven't tried Moroccan, to cook any Moroccan. I've done African cuisine. I want to learn a little bit more about that. But I want to try Moroccan food, like Middle Eastern things like that.
It would be great to go and perhaps even do a some studying there, huh? Go to Morocco and learn some.
Well, it would. And see, one of my ideas, and I'm glad you said that, something that I've always thought about doing, and now that I have time to do it, is okay, we have our basics that you start with, whether it's the Trinity or let's take a jambalaya. A jambalaya in Nigeria is jollof. So what is that? What would that be in Morocco? What would that be in some parts, any part of Asia or whatever? So you take the same items and how would we prepare them in a different country? So that's the next journey that I want to go on, and we'll put that in a book.
Yeah, those connections between, the similar foods in different places, but then also the people and the way, that you have those same sort of connections in the various cultures and the various peoples.
Exactly.
Because food's just one aspect of it.
It is. It is. And let's take coffee, for example. I love coffee. And I use a French press. But the best cup of coffee that I ever had, and the name has changed, but when I had that coffee, it was Yugoslavia. So one of my neighbors, her mom came and she just did it. Was just the old time percolator that used to be on most of the stoves across the South. Probably, I don't really remember seeing it up north, but across the South when I would go visit my grandparents. So, but that was the best cup of coffee. But now, if I'm not using a French press, I just do an old school coffee in the water, let it steep, and then the trick is doing that pour. I'm just doing a free pour with no grinds, anything like that. So I truly love to play with food, drink, whatever it is. I just love it.
Well, you talked a little bit about the influence of Julia Child and Justin Wilson and those television chefs.
Mhm.
But what about chefs who may have influenced you? That you've known. Were there any sort of mentors, or did you kind of learn it in the various jobs that you've had?
My two mentors that took me under their wing when I got here, one is still living, Chef Rod Saunier, and Chef French. So they kind of showed me the ropes. Chef Saunier would let me come into his restaurant and just work in the kitchen. I went in there. I didn't ask for any money or anything because he was showing me something that money could not buy. So to this day, I go and sit and talk with him every now and again. And Chef French and I finally had a chance to work together, and they just kind of took me under their wing, and I cannot appreciate them enough.
And
and,
the
and
way
everyone
you
needs that, whatever profession you're in. But in our industry, it is so important to learn from someone because you get a chance to see their successes, their failures. They're going to guide you. Every day is not going to be a good day. So, when you're having that day where I made 14 cakes and I didn't mark the salt from the sugar. So I made salt cakes. They didn't go out the door. But you have someone to vent to. And after that, they were like, now, didn't I tell you to mark your items? So, yeah, I had mentors.
well, and you allude to paying it forward. What about some of the people that you've mentored that have opened their own establishments or gone on to spread their wings?
Well, and there's been many of them, and I am going to list them in a different application. But that is so gratifying because I did not realize that's what I was doing until I had a phone call from one of my dishwashers. We were working at Lakeshore Village, and he got married. He moved on to be a truck driver, and he was in Virginia. And he called me and he said he was in an accident, so he went to work in the school system as a janitor because he couldn't drive, and they were shorthanded in the kitchen, so he went to work in the kitchen. And he called. He was so excited. He's like, they said they could tell that I had been in the kitchen before because I knew what I was supposed to do. I had knife skills, all of that, and I just want to call and thank you. So that kind of put a light on like, okay, just keep doing what you're doing. But I have ladies that are in Florida in different areas. One lady, she opened restaurants. She has her seasonings. She has her cookbook. And I'm a dietary manager, so that's what I started doing when I first got here. But not only did she become a dietary manager, she became a facility director, and she went further and got her psychology degree. So I love when people take, just like with this cookbook, take it as a base and you move forward. One lady runs some of the Disney's kitchens, things like that. And then back here locally, it's, plenty of restaurants that you've seen. Even, I don't know, I'm gonna throw a name on here. If you all know Yvette Bonanno that had Bonanno's Catering, guess who she would come and talk to every now and again. So I'm like the grandmother of uh, our Baton Rouge class that came out doing this here, but I just love to see the success of others.
And really that's the goal of the book too, to share that sort of knowledge and those tips like you were saying earlier with others and spread the word on and also, not be intimidated. I think that's one of the other themes that come across through the book is you don't have to be intimidated
Right.
if you're just a beginner.
Exactly. Exactly. Just slow it down sometimes and just remember it is just food. And that's something I have to tell myself every now and again because believe it or not, when I'm doing a catering job for anyone, large or small, the nerves set in for a little bit because when you're doing something for anyone, you have the power to make or break that day through your skill level. So, I don't take that lightly. And sometimes I have to tell myself it's just food. Practice what you preach. So here I am.
Well, I mean, food has a way with healing people and making them happy.
It does. It does.
Now, you mentioned some of your products earlier. Are those
Mhm.
products available only directly from you, or are they available in some places around town?
They are not around town. I had the products in some of the stores, but that was more when I had the restaurants and I didn't have time to go and do demos and things like that. So I kind of pulled them from the stores. But
You'll
I'm
have them at the farmers market and in the
They
events that
will
you're doing?
be, yes, they will be back at the farmers market when they open up, and I have someone that's going to have them there. And actually the farmers market, the two restaurants that are opening up, both my mentees. Um, and then so they'll be there. I'm looking at some of the hotels that are downtown. They're going to start carrying the cookbook, and then we'll talk about the products. I've spoken with Homeless House. They're going to do some things there too. So I'm looking at moving them back in that in settings like that. Grocery stores, I'm still kind of on the fence with it because my idea with the products was more for fundraisers, and then that way, the schools, instead of like cookies, actually, my grandson is having a fundraiser and there's all types of stuff, cookies, so I got to order that stuff too. But I want to have that so the schools can have that option. And then with a portion of it, be able to donate and give scholarships. So,
Well, keeping it personal as well. If you have them on the shelf in a grocery store, that's not that same kind of personal relationship. Just
right,
like farm to table ingredients, to be able
right.
to come out and talk with you and meet you and that sort of thing. Uh,
And then strange things happen too. I tell you, when I had the honey mustard, I was doing a demo out in I'm not even going to be able to think of what parish it was in, but it was maybe about 45 to an hour away from here. And I'm in there, I'm doing the demo, and a guy was buying a few bottles of honey mustard. And he was like, now I can finally take you home with me. I'm like, okay, but okay. So, but I have fun with it every way. But yeah, the grocery stores they're not my priority, but I will get them to you any kind of way. You can reach out to me on Instagram. I have a link on there to where you can order, and I can either have it shipped to you, or we can meet at the market or a different location. And I can get them to you, so that won't be a problem.
Well, I think that's one of the appeals that you have is that, that personal connection. So
Thank you.
I think that's great. And I appreciate you spending this time with us here today. Normally, what we ask our traditional authors is
Mhm.
what's your next project? But it seems like you're so busy and working so hard with what you're doing already. I don't know if you're going to be pivoting to anything else, but where
Right,
can
right.
people find about these events that you have coming up?
Well, I am gonna list them on my Instagram page that is Chef Celeste Gill, and on the Facebook page, the same name, Chef Celeste Gill. And I closed all the restaurants and everything last year because I said when I turned 60, that's not what I wanted to do. So I did that thinking I would slow down a little bit. Oh my goodness. It's like now I literally have to write in the calendar what I'm doing. So I'm just gonna have fun with this, see where it takes me while I work on the next journey, which will probably be the local items in different places. So,
That's excellent, excellent. Thank you again. And if you want to go ahead and sign off and tell everyone goodbye, that we'll wrap it up.
well, thank you guys. I am Chef Celeste, and you can find me on Instagram at Chef Celeste Gill or Facebook at Chef Celeste Gill. And I thank you for watching. See you next time.